I think I should welcome her properly. I find it interesting that all of these girls who are in all of these online beefs all got either a project coming out or threatening to put a project out. It's wild. It's like they're taking all of this weirdo gossip and, they're doing it for clout. There is no Diddy tolerance.
Y'all, this was not supposed to happen on a random night. There was no countdown, no warning, no press rollout, no crisis team standing by. And that's exactly why it hit so hard. Because when Jaguar Wright went live, nobody thought they were about to witness the kind of moment that ends relationships, rewrites reputations, and scars people permanently. Viewers expected noise. Maybe a rant. Maybe shade. What they got instead felt like a switch being flipped. Within seconds, the energy changed. Her face didn't look emotional. It looked certain. The kind of certainty that only comes when someone believes they're holding something dangerous. And then she said it. Not hinted. Not implied. She claimed she had something people were never meant to see. What happened next didn't just shock the comments, it froze them. Because this wasn't a blurry rumor or a secondhand accusation. This was a moment where the internet collectively leaned forward and thought, wait, are we really watching this? A luxury setting. Soft lighting. Two people far too close to explain away as coincidence. Nothing explicit. Nothing graphic. But everything loud. The body language. The comfort. The intimacy that doesn't exist unless it already existed somewhere else first. And that's when the story stopped being gossip and started feeling like betrayal unfolding in real time. Because somewhere in the middle of that chaos was a woman who had already risked everything, her image, her loyalty, her name, believing she was standing in love. Only to allegedly realize she was standing alone. Tears didn't trend because they were dramatic. They trended because they were raw. And while denial posts went up and explanations started flying, the internet noticed something uncomfortable. The receipts weren't slowing down. They were stacking. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't bad timing. It wasn't a one-off mistake. It looked like a double life cracking open. And once something like that leaks, there is no putting it back. Because this isn't the end of the story. This is the moment everything starts collapsing.
What did Claressa do? She decided to become a part of a farce that is destroying what Black family looks like. Like, the simple fact that she thinks any of the stuff that she's doing, going back and forth with Remy, when Pap is still married and they have a small child, and now she talking about she want to have babies. Why? Why does somebody as punch drunk as you want to have a kid so you can be around more people that are smarter than you? Like, it's just no.
What made this moment different wasn't just the allegation. It was the timing. Jaguar Wright didn't announce a live. She didn't tease it. She didn't warn anyone to tune in. She simply appeared. And in today's attention economy, silence before a storm is never accidental. It's strategic. At first, viewers treated it like background noise. Another late-night rant. Another unpredictable moment from someone the internet has learned to half listen to. But within seconds, something shifted. Jaguar wasn't rambling. She wasn't emotional. She wasn't spiraling. She was focused. Her posture was steady. Her tone was controlled. And that's what set alarms off. Because people who are bluffing usually talk too much. People who feel exposed usually over-explain. Jaguar did neither. Instead, she framed the moment carefully. She made it clear that what she was about to say wasn't gossip, wasn't confusion, and wasn't an accident. According to her, this was a pattern. A double life. A situation that had been hidden in plain sight and protected by silence. And then she made the claim that detonated everything. She alleged that she was in possession of visuals involving Papoose and Taseki, visuals that, according to her, were never meant to leave a private space. She didn't describe them in detail at first. She let the tension sit. She let the comments pile up. She let the audience talk themselves into panic. When the screen finally changed, the reaction wasn't loud at first. It was stunned. The setting, as viewers described it, didn't look improvised. Soft lighting, clean angles, expensive decor. The kind of environment that suggests comfort, not coincidence. Nothing explicit appeared on screen, but the closeness was unmistakable. The body language wasn't casual. It wasn't friendly. It wasn't something that could be easily dismissed with a laugh or an excuse. People started typing the same thing over and over. Wait, no way. Is this real? Within minutes, clips were ripped, reposted, and reshared across platforms. Twitter threads formed in real time. TikTok edits began circulating before the live even ended. The moment wasn't just going viral, it was mutating. And then Jaguar said the line that locked the narrative into place. She insisted this wasn't a misunderstanding, not a mistake, not something taken out of context. In her words, this was evidence of a double life. That single phrase reframed everything. Because once a situation is labeled a double life, every past action gets re-examined. Every silence becomes suspicious. Every denial starts to feel rehearsed. As the live spread, the focus shifted not to Jaguar, but to the people caught in the middle of her claims. And that's when the most painful part of the story surfaced. Claressa Shields. Sources say Claressa wasn't prepared for what she allegedly saw circulating online. This wasn't gossip whispered behind closed doors. This was her relationship being debated publicly, frame by frame, comment by comment. When Claressa appeared afterward, the strength she's known for was still there, but it was cracking. Her voice shook. Her eyes told a story before her words did. She didn't sound angry. She sounded hurt, betrayed, exhausted. According to her, she had chosen Papoose openly, publicly. She had taken stands that cost her relationships, reputation, and peace. And now, she was allegedly realizing that while she was defending love, she might have been defending a lie. That moment changed public perception instantly. This stopped being a messy triangle and started looking like emotional fallout. Fans weren't just reacting, they were reevaluating timelines. Old interviews resurfaced. Past posts were re-examined. People began asking how long this had been happening and who knew what and when. Jaguar, meanwhile, wasn't backing down. She escalated her claims, alleging that this wasn't impulsive behavior, but a calculated pattern. According to her, Papoose had a history of positioning himself where opportunity lived. First with one woman, then another, always aligning himself with visibility, influence, and advantage. And then, midway through the chaos, Jaguar delivered the statement that reframed the entire narrative.
You plant. You ain't nothing but a plant. And I'm gonna prove it. And that's why you're with Pap. Because he's a plant. I'm about to bust you open. See, I figure I'm gonna give you something relevant to go back and forth about, so you can mind your business and stay out of this family that's being ripped to shreds by the media. For that little girl to see. I'm not doing it for them. I'm not even doing it for their fake black love campaign. I'm doing it for real black love. Because our people should not be this invested in seeing the desecration of black families. So since you want to use it for clout, little plant, greatest plant of all time, I'm not calling you no goat. You the goat. The greatest plant of all time. Probably not even that. Let's give you something relevant to talk about. I think I know what she's afraid of. And I'm about to expose it on the pods.
In this segment, Jaguar directly labels Claressa a plant, insisting she was strategically placed and emotionally maneuvered. She alleges that both Claressa and Papoose were being used, or willingly participating, in a manufactured narrative designed to look like organic love. She claims this is why certain fights were avoided, why certain questions were never answered, and why the public image was so carefully curated. According to Jaguar, this wasn't romance. It was positioning. She states that Claressa is being protected from certain confrontations, steered away from threats, and kept inside a controlled storyline. Jaguar insists she knows exactly what Claressa is afraid of, and that fear, she claims, is the reason this situation is unraveling now. After that interview segment circulated, the conversation shifted again. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was about control. If Jaguar's claims were even partially true, then this wasn't a love story gone wrong. It was a performance that had gone off script. And once that idea took hold online, everything accelerated. Jaguar went further, alleging that there were voice notes, private audio exchanges that, according to her, captured intimacy that contradicted public narratives. Soft laughter, affection, promises that didn't align with the story being told elsewhere. Fans listening to those alleged clips didn't hear acting. They heard comfort, familiarity, the kind that doesn't develop overnight. And then came the final escalation of this part. Jaguar claimed that there were private messages, WhatsApp chats, where plans were discussed. Not emotional confusion, not regret, but strategy. Alleged discussions about when to walk away, how to frame the exit, and how to manage public perception once the damage was done. As those claims spread, Papoose responded. Fast. He denied everything, called it fake, a setup, a lie designed to destroy him. And for a moment, That denial gave some people pause. Until they noticed something unsettling. The receipts weren't stopping. Each denial was followed by another clip, another screenshot, another question that didn't have a clean answer. And that's when Claressa's silence became louder than words. Sources say she's torn between defending what she believed was real and accepting that the story might be far darker than she imagined. She's trying to stay strong publicly, but privately, this has taken a toll that can't be edited out or filtered away. Because this wasn't just a breakup playing out online. This was public betrayal, public exposure, and the violent collapse of a carefully managed double life. And as this part comes to a close, one thing is undeniable. This story isn't cooling down. It's warming up. Because if what's already surfaced is this damaging, what happens when the rest comes out? By the time the internet finished processing what had already surfaced, one thing was clear. This story was no longer about a single leak. It was about control. As the clips continued circulating and denial posts went up, the public began noticing a pattern that didn't sit right. The tone of the responses felt rehearsed. The timing felt calculated. And the silence, especially from certain corners, felt deliberate. That's when a different question started spreading across comment sections and forums. Not what happened, but who was really in charge. This is where Jaguar Wright shifted gears. Up until this point, many viewers had dismissed her live as explosive but chaotic. But as part 2 unfolded, her claims became more focused, less emotional, more surgical. According to Jaguar, the situation wasn't just a messy triangle. It was a managed operation, one where image mattered more than truth. She alleged that Claressa Shields wasn't just emotionally involved, she was being handled. That word changed everything. Because a handler isn't a lover. A handler is a controller. Someone who manages access, exposure, decisions, and outcomes. According to Jaguar, this relationship wasn't built on mutual vulnerability. It was built on positioning. She claimed that Claressa's public image had been carefully shaped. That certain confrontations were avoided. That certain threats never reached her. And that this wasn't accidental. It was intentional insulation. And if that were true, it explained a lot. It explained why difficult questions never landed. Why timelines felt inconsistent. Why public moments seemed staged rather than spontaneous. Jaguar alleged that Papoose played a central role in this structure. Not as a partner caught in chaos, but as someone who understood exactly how to move through it. According to her, he knew when to speak, when to disappear, and when to let someone else absorb the fallout. That accusation struck a nerve. Because the internet has seen opportunism before, but rarely this calculated. Fans began revisiting old appearances, old interviews, old statements that once felt romantic and now felt rehearsed. The language suddenly sounded familiar. The promises sounded recycled. And the comparisons began. Jaguar claimed this wasn't the first time. That before Claressa, there was Remy Ma, another powerful woman, another public narrative, another situation where loyalty was weaponized and visibility was leveraged. She alleged a formula. A line. Absorb credibility. Move on. As this theory spread, Claressa's silence grew heavier. Sources say she was struggling, not just with heartbreak, but with the realization that her strength might have been used against her. That the very traits that made her powerful were the same ones that made her valuable to someone looking for protection and leverage. And then Jaguar delivered the segment that cemented.
And whoever he's reporting to, because I'm telling you now, after this relationship farce business with you, trying to transfer the Black Love brand to you and him, he's your handler, girl. Wake up and smell the coffee or the smelling salts. Because that's what you responded at and you get knocked out and you get the smelling salt. Wake up. Somebody get this hoe the smelling salts. He's a swish.
Damn.
I just wish Remy would tell the truth about it.
Well, Remy did say
Tell the truth about it, Remy. Tell the truth that you figured out that this nigga was your handler. Everybody knows that he's down with the Masonic temple. He's doing the handshakes. He's making the symbols. He's Shluminati up. If he's lost control of Remy, all they gonna do is give him another person to handle. And now here you are, Claressa, with no real boxing record, and you already looking just a little bit punch drunk.
In this segment, Jaguar asserts that Papoose is not a romantic partner, but a handler. She alleges that the so-called Black Love narrative was a branding exercise designed to transfer legitimacy and marketability. According to her, Claressa is being guided away from real threats and kept inside a controlled storyline where decisions are made for her. Jaguar warns that as Claressa becomes more emotionally vulnerable, manipulation becomes easier. She claims this dynamic benefits one person financially and reputationally, while leaving Claressa exposed to public humiliation and eventual abandonment once her usefulness runs out. After this segment circulated, the reaction was immediate and polarized. Supporters of Claressa expressed outrage, accusing Jaguar of cruelty and overreach. But others noticed something uncomfortable. No one directly dismantled the handler claim. Instead, responses stayed vague, emotional, defensive, and that only fueled the fire. Because when a claim is false, people rush to kill it with facts. When it's dangerous, they try to bury it with noise. As the handler theory gained traction, attention shifted to Taseki's role. Viewers began asking how long she had been in the picture and why her presence seemed to coincide with moments of instability. According to Jaguar, this wasn't coincidence, it was replacement. She alleged that when one narrative weakens, another is prepared. And then came the financial angle. Jaguar claimed that influence wasn't just emotional, it was monetary. That money moves quietly while attention stays loud. According to her, the longer Claressa stayed distracted by love and defense, the easier it became to redirect resources, opportunities, and decisions without resistance. That allegation shook the audience. Because at that point, this stopped being gossip and started sounding like exploitation. Sources say Claressa is now caught between two realities, the image she defended publicly and the truth she may be confronting privately. She's trying to remain composed, but those close to her say the emotional toll is undeniable. Meanwhile, Papoose has maintained denial, but notably, without clarity. Each response dismisses the claims broadly, yet avoids addressing specifics. No timelines. No explanations. No direct engagement with the handler allegation. And in the vacuum of answers, speculation thrives. As this part closes, one truth stands above the noise. If Jaguar's claims are false, they would have been dismantled by now. If they're partially true, then what hasn't surfaced yet could be devastating. Because this story isn't about love gone wrong. It's about power disguised as protection. And the internet is no longer asking if something happened. They're asking how long it's been happening and who benefits when it stays hidden. What started as a shocking live had now hardened into a narrative that refused to disappear. Clips were no longer circulating as rumors, they were being archived. Screenshots were timestamped. Statements were compared. Silence was measured. And in that silence, a pattern became impossible to ignore. Because if this were just chaos, it would have burned out by now. If it were just gossip, it would have turned on the messenger. But it didn't. Instead, the attention stayed fixed on one thing: who benefits when everyone else breaks. Sources say Claressa Shields has been trying to keep composure in public, the kind of composure expected from someone who has spent her life mastering control. But behind the scenes, that control is reportedly fraying. The pressure isn't just emotional. It's reputational. Every appearance, every post, every pause is now dissected for meaning. And the hardest part? She didn't just defend a relationship. She defended a story. A story that, according to Jaguar Wright, was never organic to begin with. As days passed, Jaguar didn't retreat. She didn't soften her tone. She doubled down, not with theatrics, but with warnings. Warnings about money, about influence, about what happens to people who mistake protection for love. That's when this part crossed a line from exposure into collapse. Because this phase wasn't about who cheated. It was about who controlled the exit. Online observers began noticing that while Claressa absorbed the emotional blowback, others stayed insulated. No timelines clarified. No detailed rebuttals. No transparent explanations. Just broad denials and strategic quiet. And that imbalance set off alarms. If the relationship was equal, why was the fallout not? Jaguar's claim suggested a simple answer: it wasn't equal. It was managed. According to her, the moment Claressa became emotionally vulnerable, she became easier to steer. Decisions could be nudged. Narratives could be shaped. And when things finally exploded, the damage wouldn't be shared, it would be assigned. As speculation grew, attention turned to money and opportunity. Not as a rumor, but as a motive. Jaguar alleged that influence doesn't scream, it moves quietly. While the internet argues over clips and denials, real gains happen elsewhere, unnoticed. And then Jaguar delivered the segment that many believe sealed the story's direction.
The only thing this is doing is building up a social media queue.
Yeah.
So that she can move off into becoming a social media influencer, and they can use her name as the greatest woman of all time to sell whatever brand and push whatever agenda that they want. And she'll be able to cash out of the game before she loses what's left of her mind.
Wow.
But that's okay, because every time you get punched in the head and you get a little slower, that's great for Papoose. Because now he don't have to explain to you how he's robbing you. He can just do it and notice that you'll just be sitting there, just the two of us, and he be gone with the damn money. You better watch your pocket. Stop playing in that man's wife's face.
In this segment, Jaguar warns that Claressa must watch her pocket, alleging that emotional distraction creates the perfect environment for financial and reputational exploitation. She claims that as Claressa's vulnerability increases, accountability decreases, making it easier for someone else to walk away clean while leaving her to deal with the aftermath. Jaguar asserts that the public humiliation isn't accidental but structural. One person exits with leverage, the other with damage. She frames this as the inevitable outcome of a relationship built on control rather than equality. After this clip circulated, the reaction shifted sharply. The conversation stopped being about whether Jaguar was too harsh and started becoming about whether she was too accurate. Because no one addressed the warning directly. No one explained the imbalance. No one clarified why Claressa appeared to be carrying the emotional and reputational weight alone. And in that gap, the internet filled in the blanks. Observers began pointing out that the narrative had quietly pivoted. The same people who once celebrated Black love now spoke in vagueness. The language changed. The warmth disappeared. What remained was distance. Distance is telling. Jaguar didn't stop there. She challenged the industry itself, questioning why so few voices were willing to stand up for Remy Ma amid the chaos. Why the silence from those who usually rush to comment? Why a woman with a long, visible legacy could be publicly disrespected without consequence? That question echoed loudly. Because silence, in moments like this, isn't neutrality. It's alignment. And alignment reveals who the system protects. As the days passed, Claressa's situation appeared increasingly precarious. Sources say she's caught between two impossible choices: defend a narrative that's cracking, or admit she may have been maneuvered into one. Either path comes with loss. What makes this collapse particularly brutal is that it's happening in public, without pause, without mercy, without an off switch. Every attempt to move forward drags the past back into view. Every denial reignites questions. And meanwhile, the person Jaguar warned about? Still unscathed. That contrast is the most damaging part of all. Because when only one person bleeds, it raises a brutal question. Was that always the plan? Jaguar's final message in this phase wasn't celebratory. It was cautionary. She didn't claim victory. She claimed inevitability. According to her, stories built on control don't end in closure. They end in abandonment. And abandonment doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like silence. Sometimes it looks like distance. Sometimes it looks like one person moving on while another is left explaining what happened. As part 3 closes, the internet is no longer divided about whether something went wrong. The division is now about how much was intentional. Was this a relationship that collapsed under pressure? Or a structure designed to collapse someone else? One thing is clear, the fallout is no longer theoretical. It's visible, it's emotional, and it's irreversible. Because once control is exposed, it loses power. And once the mask slips, it never fits the same again. This wasn't just a scandal. It was a slow motion unraveling. And if Jaguar Wright is right, if this was always about leverage, then the most dangerous part of the story may still be ahead. Because collapses don't announce themselves. They happen quietly, right before everything changes.